Dr. Diana Hall's hands trembled as she stared at the newborn squirming in her palms. 23 years of veterinary practice had prepared her for almost everything. Breech births, emergency C-sections, complications that would make most people faint. But not this. The German Shepherd mother licked her babies with gentle devotion, unaware that what she had just delivered would shatter everything Diana thought she knew about biology. What were these creatures, and how did they end up inside a dog? Before we continue, hit subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. The morning started like any other Tuesday at Riverside Animal Shelter. Rain hammered against the windows, creating rivers down the cracked glass. The smell of wet fur and disinfectant filled the air, familiar as breathing. Diana pulled her graying hair into a messy bun and grabbed her coffee. Black, no sugar. The same way she'd drunk it since veterinary school 30 years ago. She was 58 now. Her daughter often joked that she loved animals more than people. Maybe it was true. Animals didn't lie. They didn't pretend to be something they weren't. They just existed in their honest, broken way, waiting for someone to see them, to save them, to give them one more chance at a life that mattered. The shelter sat on the edge of town, wedged between an old factory and a stretch of woods that most people had forgotten about. Wasn't fancy. Paint peeled from the walls in long strips. The floors were cracked linoleum that no amount of mopping could make look clean. The roof leaked when it rained hard. But Diana had spent 2 decades turning it into something that mattered, a place where the forgotten could be found again. Marina, the young shelter assistant, burst through the door. Her dark curls were plastered to her face from the rain. Water dripped from her jacket onto the floor. "Dr. Hall, you need to see this." Diana set down her mug. Marina's eyes were wide, urgent, filled with something between excitement and fear. She'd worked here for 3 years and rarely got rattled. Nothing surprised her anymore. Dead animals, abused animals, animals so broken they couldn't be fixed. She'd seen it all. They walked past rows of kennels. Dogs barked, pressed against chain link, tails wagging with desperate hope, each one begging to be chosen, to be loved, to go home. Diana's chest tightened the way it always did. She couldn't save them all. The math never worked. Too many animals. Not enough homes. Not enough money. Not enough time. But she tried anyway. Every single day, she tried. At the end of the hall, Marina stopped at Kennel 12. Inside, a German Shepherd lay on her side, panting. Her ribs showed through dull fur. Scars crisscrossed her muzzle, her legs, her entire body. Evidence of a hard life. A cruel life. But her eyes. Those amber eyes held something ancient and knowing, something that made Diana's breath catch. "She showed up this morning," Marina said. "No collar, no chip. But Dr. Hall, she's pregnant. Very pregnant." Diana knelt slowly. Her knees creaked. Getting old was a series of small betrayals, her body reminding her daily that time was catching up. The dog lifted her head. Their eyes met. In that moment, Diana saw everything the dog had survived. The hunger, the fear, the humans who had failed her. Yet somehow, impossibly, trust still flickered in those eyes. She ran her hands along the swollen belly. Her fingers, weathered from years of healing, pressed gently. The dog didn't flinch, didn't pull away. Just watched Diana with that steady, knowing gaze. "She's going into labor soon," Diana said. "Today. Maybe tonight." They set up the whelping box in the isolation room. Clean blankets, heat lamp, water bowl, everything ready. Diana had delivered hundreds of litters. This would be routine, standard procedure. Nothing she hadn't done 1,000 times before. Except nothing about this dog felt routine. The German Shepherd watched Diana with an intensity that made her skin prickle, like the dog knew something, like she was trying to communicate, like she was trying to warn her. Diana decided to call her Hope. It seemed fitting. The shelter was full of second chances. This would be one more. By evening, Hope's contractions started. Strong, regular, textbook. Diana settled in for the long night ahead. Marina brought coffee and sandwiches. They ate in silence, watching Hope pace and pant and prepare to bring new life into the world. The first puppy arrived in its sack. Diana cleared the membrane, rubbed the tiny body until it squeaked. Normal. Healthy. A beautiful black and tan female. Hope licked her baby with fierce tenderness, the kind of love that needed no words. 2 more puppies came, both strong, both nursing within minutes. Diana's shoulders relaxed. Everything was going according to plan. Just another normal birth, just another litter of puppies who would need homes in 8 weeks. But then Hope's body convulsed differently, harder, more violent. The dog's eyes rolled back. Diana's trained hands moved quickly, feeling, assessing. Something was wrong. The contractions were different, stronger, more urgent. Another birth began, but as Diana cleared the sack, her breath caught. The shape was wrong. The size was wrong. The proportions didn't match. She lifted it toward the light, her mind struggling to process what her eyes were seeing. Not a puppy. Her heart hammered against her ribs. This wasn't possible. Biology didn't work this way. Species didn't cross. Dogs gave birth to dogs. Cats gave birth to cats. That was fundamental. Basic. The foundation of everything she knew. Yet here it was, warm and squirming in her palms. A fox kit. Unmistakable. Reddish fur. Pointed snout. Delicate features that belonged to the wild. Not a domestic animal's womb. Marina leaned closer, face pale. "Dr. Hall, what is that?" But Diana couldn't answer. Because Hope was contracting again. Another birth. Another impossible creature emerging. This one had quills. Actual quills along its back, soft and pliable like a newborn porcupine. The room tilted. Diana's medical training screamed that this violated every law of nature. But the evidence lay squirming in the whelping box. 3 puppies, 1 fox kit, 1 porcupine baby. And Hope was still laboring. What Diana didn't know yet was that Hope's arrival at the shelter wasn't random, and the truth behind these impossible births would lead her into a mystery darker than she could imagine. Marina grabbed the exam lamp, her hand shaking. Diana examined the fox kit under bright light. 4 legs, tail, pointed ears. But the eyes were sealed shut like a newborn. Everything else was wrong. This wasn't a dog. This wasn't a puppy. This was something that shouldn't exist inside a German shepherd's womb. Hope continued laboring. Another contraction. Another birth. This time, something even stranger. A rabbit kit. Long ears folded against its tiny head. The distinctive split upper lip. Unmistakable. Diana placed it near Hope's belly. The German shepherd licked it the same way she'd licked her puppies. No hesitation. No rejection. Just maternal instinct. Pure and uncomplicated. Like her body knew these were her babies, even if science said otherwise. Marina backed against the wall. This isn't real. This can't be real. But it was real. And Hope was still delivering. A badger cub emerged next, black and white striped, then a squirrel kit. Then another rabbit. 9 births total, 3 German shepherd puppies, 6 creatures from different species, each one impossible, each one alive. When the last one finally came, Hope collapsed, utterly spent. Her breathing was shallow, rapid. Diana grabbed her stethoscope, checked vitals. The dog's heart rate was elevated, temperature rising. She was going into shock. Diana and Marina worked together, moving with practiced efficiency. IV line inserted, antibiotics administered, warm blankets wrapped around Hope's exhausted body. The dog's eyes fluttered, barely conscious. The 9 babies squirmed and mewled, searching for warmth. The 3 puppies found Hope's teats easily, but the others struggled. Different species, different needs, different survival requirements. Diana examined Hope more carefully. The dog's body was covered in scars. But these weren't street scars. They were methodical, surgical. Someone had cut this dog deliberately, multiple times. The pattern was too precise to be accidental. On Hope's inner thigh, a small faded tattoo marked the skin, not a pet identification number. Something else. A series of letters and numbers that looked clinical. Laboratory coding. She was a research animal, Diana breathed. The pieces started clicking together. Not naturally, not comfortably. But they clicked. Somewhere, somehow, someone had experimented on this dog. Someone with resources, with knowledge, with complete disregard for nature's boundaries. Hope's eyes met Diana's again. That same knowing look. The dog had been trying to tell her from the beginning. This wasn't about abandoned strays. This was about escape. Diana pulled out her phone, hands shaking. Who could she call? Who would believe her? She needed help. She needed answers. She needed to understand what she was dealing with. Before she could dial, headlights swept across the shelter's windows. A vehicle pulled into the parking lot. At 11 at night, in the middle of a storm. Nobody came to the shelter at this hour. Nobody except people looking for something specific. Marina went to the window. Dr. Hall, there's a black SUV outside. And people, they're wearing suits. Diana's stomach dropped. They'd found Hope. Whoever had experimented on her, whoever had created this biological impossibility, they'd tracked her here. And they were coming to take everything back. Diana moved fast. Her age didn't matter now. Fear sharpened everything, made her quick, made her focused. Take the babies to the back room, all of them. Lock the door. Marina scooped up the whelping box, careful not to disturb the fragile newborns. Her hands shook, but her movements were steady. She disappeared into the back corridor. The knock came hard, authoritative, not asking permission. Diana opened the door. 3 people stood in the rain. 2 men in dark suits, faces blank as government forms. Between them, a woman in her 40s wearing a pristine white coat. Her hair was pulled back severely, wire-rimmed glasses, a leather briefcase clutched in one manicured hand. Dr. Diana Hall? The woman asked. Clinical, professional, cold. That's me. I'm Dr. Evelyn Juniper, Genesis Biotech. We're looking for a German Shepherd, female, pregnant. We have reason to believe she's here. Diana kept her face neutral. We have several German Shepherds. This is a shelter. Dr. Juniper smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. This one is special. She escaped from our facility 3 days ago. She's carrying extremely valuable research. We need her back immediately. Any animal that comes through these doors receives a 72-hour hold. State law. You can come back Thursday with proper documentation. One of the men stepped forward, muscle under his suit. Ma'am, you don't understand the sensitivity of this situation. I understand the law. Dr. Juniper's smile vanished. Dr. Hall, that animal is carrying biological material worth millions. We need her now. Then get a warrant. Diana started to close the door. The muscled man's hand shot out, stopping it. They stood in tense silence. Rain drummed against the awning. Finally, Dr. Juniper spoke, her voice dropping lower. If she's given birth, then you've already seen them. You know they're not puppies. She leaned closer. You know this is beyond normal veterinary practice. Those creatures need specialized care. They're genetic experiments, the first of their kind. Diana's face stayed stone. Thursday. With a warrant. She shut the door. Locked it. Her hands were shaking now. Through the window, she watched the three figures return to their SUV. They didn't leave. They sat there, headlights off, waiting. Diana ran to the back room. Marina had set up heat lamps over the makeshift nursery. The babies were quiet now, full bellies, tiny bodies pressed together for warmth. "They're not leaving," Diana said. "What do we do?" Diana pulled out her phone, dialed her daughter Rebecca. 3 rings. 4. Finally, a sleepy voice answered. "Mom, it's midnight. Becca, I need you to listen carefully. I have a situation, a dog. Some people want to take her. They claim she's their property, but something's very wrong. This dog has been abused, experimented on." Rebecca's lawyer brain kicked into gear immediately. Did they show ownership papers? They showed legal documents, government contracts. But Becca, what she's carrying, it's evidence. Evidence of something illegal. Then you need proper authorities. Document everything. Photos, videos, medical records, and stall them. Cite the 72-hour hold. You're right about state law. A crash from the front of the shelter cut her off, breaking glass, shouting. Diana's heart hammered. "They're coming in. I have to go." Diana grabbed Marina's arm. "Take the babies out the back, through the woods, head to the Bailey farm, hide them there." "What about you?" "I'll stall them. Go." "Now." Marina hesitated, then grabbed the box. The babies squirmed and protested. She wrapped them in blankets, grabbed formula bottles, and slipped out the back door into the rain-soaked darkness. Diana returned to the front. The door hung open. Dr. Juniper stood in the lobby, flanked by her muscle. Water pooled on the linoleum. "That's breaking and entering," Diana said calmly. "We're retrieving stolen property. Where is she?" One of the men moved past them, heading toward the kennels. Diana blocked his path, but he shoved her aside. Not hard enough to hurt, hard enough to make a point. Diana led them to the isolation room. Hope lay motionless under the heat lamp, IV line still attached. Her breathing was shallow. The sedatives Diana had administered had knocked her deep into sleep. Dr. Juniper knelt beside the dog. Her clinical mask slipped. For just a moment, something almost like regret crossed her face. She touched Hope's scarred flank gently. "Subject 17, she whispered. Subject 17. Not Hope. Not even a name. Just a number. "What did you do to her?" Diana asked. Dr. Juniper stood, walls back up. "Revolutionary genetic work. Embryo implantation across species barriers. 17 was our most successful host. Do you understand what that means? It means you're a monster. It means I'm saving lives." The muscled man returned. "Nothing in the disposal bins, and the back door's open. Fresh tracks heading toward the woods." Dr. Juniper's face hardened. She pulled out a phone, made a call. Within minutes, Diana heard engines. More vehicles. Bright lights swept across the woods behind the shelter. Diana's phone buzzed. Text from Marina. "Reached farm. Baby's safe. Bailey hiding us." Dr. Juniper grabbed Diana's phone, read the text. "The Bailey farm. Mobilize Team 2. Retrieve the offspring. No harm to the animals." But Dr. Juniper didn't know about Brendan Bailey. Former Marine. Current recluse. The kind of man who posted warning signs and meant every word. What happened next would change everything. The gunshot cracked through the night like thunder. Everyone froze. Then Brendan Bailey's voice boomed across the darkness, amplified by speakers. "This is private property. You have 30 seconds to vacate before I start aiming for center mass." Dr. Juniper's team scattered behind vehicles. Diana felt a grim satisfaction. At least Marina and the babies had protection. "How many dogs did you use?" Diana asked quietly. Dr. Juniper turned. "What?" "Subject 17. That means 16 others. Minimum. How many dogs did you experiment on before Hope? The silence stretched. Finally, Dr. Juniper spoke. 73. 73 subjects before we achieved viable cross-species gestation. The early trials didn't survive. The pregnancies caused organ failure. The subjects died during delivery. 73 dogs died. 73 dogs gave their lives for science. They didn't give anything. You took it. Diana's phone rang. Rebecca. She answered on speaker. Mom, I've been digging. Genesis Biotech's research license was suspended 2 years ago. Multiple Animal Welfare Act violations. They're operating illegally. Dr. Juniper's expression went flat. That suspension was political. Illegal is illegal, Diana said. Necessary is necessary. Dr. Juniper's voice rose. You think medical progress comes from following rules? Real breakthroughs require risks. Risks you force on animals who can't consent. For a little girl named Amara. The words hit Diana like cold water. What? Dr. Juniper's mask cracked completely. Her voice went raw. 7 years old. Genetic kidney disorder. Dying on a transplant list. She's my goddaughter. I watched her get sicker every day. And I had the knowledge, the capability. I could create compatible organs. Save her life. She pulled out her phone, showed Diana a photo. A small girl with a bright smile and tubes running from her tiny arms. Amara's 8 now. Her kidneys will fail completely within 6 months. But if this research succeeds, she lives. So you tell me, Dr. Hall, what would you sacrifice to save a child? Diana stared at the photo, at Amara's innocent eyes. This was the knife edge of medicine, the impossible choices. There are other ways, Diana said, but her voice lacked conviction. There aren't. This is the only option left. More gunfire from the woods. Warning shots. Dr. Juniper's radio crackled with urgent updates. Her team couldn't advance. Bailey was dug in, armed, willing to use lethal force. You can't win this, Diana said. Neither can you. Those animals are genetic anomalies. The fox kid needs specialized nutrition. The porcupine requires specific temperatures. Without our facilities, they'll die within days. The words cut because they were true. Diana had no resources for exotic animals. This was beyond her capabilities. And Hope? What happens to her? Dr. Juniper looked toward the isolation room. Something human flickered across her face. She was our best subject. Valuable beyond measure. She's a living creature who deserves peace. She deserves to save lives. Then Hope moved. The sedation was wearing off. The German shepherd lifted her head, amber eyes clearing. She looked around, searching, whimpered softly, desperate, maternal, looking for her babies. Dr. Juniper knelt beside her, but Hope pulled away from her touch. Fear and recognition in her eyes. She knew this woman, knew what she represented. Hope looked at Diana instead, trusting, pleading. And Diana understood. This wasn't about choosing between a dying child and laboratory animals. This was about a mother looking for her babies. Hope hadn't escaped to find freedom. She'd escaped to give birth somewhere safe, away from cold laboratories. She'd endured 3 days of starvation to reach this shelter. The early trials, Diana said slowly. How did they die? During pregnancy? During birth? Most during pregnancy. Organ failure. And the others? Silence. The others, Dr. Juniper. What happened to the subjects who successfully gave birth? The offspring required immediate specialized care. We had to separate them, for their own safety. You took the babies. We had no choice. And the mothers? Dr. Juniper's clinical mask was fully back now. We're prepped for the next trial. The successful subjects proved their viability. It would have been wasteful not to continue. You put them through it again. The research required multiple attempts. Diana felt sick. How many times was Hope pregnant? 17 was her designation. Attempt 17. Hope struggled to stand. IV line pulling, legs shaking. She stumbled toward the door, toward where her babies had been. Maternal instinct overriding exhaustion and trauma. Diana steadied her. The dog leaned into her touch, grateful. "She's not going back," Diana said. Dr. Juniper's phone rang. She answered, face draining of color. When she hung up, she looked defeated. That was the hospital. Amara's kidneys failed. Completely. Days left. Maybe hours. The room went quiet. Outside, sirens wailed. State police arriving. Then Diana understood the final piece. The thing that had been bothering her since the births. The embryos. You implanted embryos from different species, but cross-species reproduction is impossible without incredible genetic manipulation. Unless, she looked at Hope's scarred abdomen. Unless you used her DNA. You created hybrid embryos using Hope's genetic material as the base. That's why her body didn't reject them. Dr. Juniper met her eyes. Subject 17 possessed a unique genetic mutation. Her cells accepted foreign DNA at unprecedented levels. We could create embryos that were part canine, part anything else. For the first time, we could grow compatible organs, reducing rejection rates to nearly zero. You turned her into a living incubator. I turned her into salvation. State police burst through the door, flashlights, weapons drawn, shouting commands. In the chaos, Hope collapsed, exhaustion finally overwhelming her body. Diana caught her, lowered her gently. "I need a vet ambulance. This animal is critical." The officers sorted through the scene. Dr. Juniper and her team were detained. Diana knelt beside Hope, whose breathing had become irregular. Shallow. The German shepherd's eyes found Diana's one more time, not with pain, with relief, with release. She'd done what she came to do, protected her babies, given birth somewhere safe. Her job was finished. "Stay with me," Diana whispered. "Your babies need you." But Hope's eyes were already fading. Her chest rose one final time, then went still. Diana pressed her ear to Hope's chest. Nothing. She started compressions. Breathing. More compressions. But medicine has limits. Sometimes the spirit decides it's carried enough. After 10 minutes, Diana finally stopped. Tears streamed down her face. "She's gone." Marina burst through the door with the baby-filled box, then saw Hope's motionless body. She set the box down carefully, knelt beside Diana, put her arm around the older woman's shoulders. "She made it to you," Marina said softly. "She trusted you with them." Dr. Juniper, hands cuffed, looked at Hope's body. Tears tracked down her face. "Subject 17. I'm sorry." But Hope couldn't hear her anymore. 3 weeks later, Diana stood in the barn at Bailey's farm. Afternoon light streamed through gaps in the old wood. The air smelled of hay and new life. 9 babies thrived. The 3 German shepherd puppies were typical shelter pups, playful, loud, ready for homes soon. The others required specialized care. Diana had called in every favor, contacted wildlife experts, learned more about exotic animal care in 3 weeks than in 20 years. The fox kit curled in a heated den box, red fur bright and healthy. Eyes open now, watching everything with sharp intelligence. The porcupine baby munched on special vegetables. A wildlife rehabilitator visited daily, teaching Diana the intricacies of care. The rabbit kits hopped in their enclosure. Marina had practically moved into the barn to care for them. The badger cub had been transferred to a specialist facility with proper expertise. The squirrel kit climbed everything. Brendan Bailey had built it an elaborate habitat. The gruff veteran had become the gentlest caregiver, Rebecca had filed lawsuits against Genesis Biotech. Federal charges, state charges, animal welfare violations. The company was drowning in legal battles. Dr. Juniper faced criminal charges, but Amara still needed a kidney. That truth sat heavy in Diana's chest. The math still didn't work. "Dr. Hall?" She turned. Dr. Juniper stood at the barn door. No suit, just jeans and a sweater. She looked smaller. Human. "My lawyer said I shouldn't be here. But I needed to see them." Diana tensed. Brendan Bailey appeared from the shadows, shotgun across his lap. Dr. Juniper walked slowly to the enclosures, looked at each baby. Her face crumpled. "They're beautiful. They're alive, no thanks to you. I know. I know what I did was wrong. But watching Hope die because of what I put her through." She couldn't finish. "Amara? Still alive. Barely. Stanford offered an experimental treatment. Human-engineered organs grown from her own cells. It'll take months. But it's a chance. Without what I did." Dr. Juniper knelt beside the puppy's enclosure. They tumbled over each other, playing. Normal. Innocent. I wanted to save lives so badly that I forgot life has to mean something beyond just existing. Hope lived in a cage, endured pain. That's not life. That's just biology with a heartbeat. She stood. "I've shut down the program, surrendered all research to federal oversight. I'll probably go to prison. But these animals, I want to fund their care, however long they need. It won't fix what I did, but maybe it's a start." She pulled out a check, set it on a hay bale. It's not redemption, but it's responsibility. She walked toward the door, then paused. Hope was special. Near the end, she looked at me, really looked at me, and I knew she was asking for mercy. But I didn't listen. I'm listening now. After she left, Diana picked up the check. Enough money to care for the exotic babies for years. She should refuse it on principle. But the fox kit needed expensive formula. The porcupine required climate control. The rabbits needed specialized care. Sometimes you had to accept help from broken people, because the innocents in your care deserved to survive. Marina sat beside her. "You going to keep it?" "For them. Not for me." They watched the babies play. 3 puppies who would find homes easily. 6 exotic animals who would need lifelong care. "Do you think we did the right thing?" Marina asked. "A kid's dying because we shut down their research." Diana thought about Hope, about the trust in those amber eyes, about a mother protecting her babies the only way she knew how. "I think Hope did the right thing, and we honored her choice." The puppies barked, tumbling over each other. The fox kit joined the play. The porcupine waddled closer. The rabbit kits hopped in circles. Different species. Impossible biology. Playing together like it was the most natural thing in the world. Maybe that was Hope's gift, proving that different lives could exist together, could protect each other, could be family despite everything saying they shouldn't be. Diana pulled out her phone, took photos, the puppies wrestling, the fox kit's bright eyes, the porcupine's soft quills catching light, evidence of something impossible. That night, alone in her office, Diana wrote in her journal, the same journal she'd kept for 20 years, recording the animals who'd passed through. She wrote about Hope, about a German shepherd who'd endured 17 pregnancies, who'd carried the weight of human ambition in her belly, who'd escaped against impossible odds, who'd given birth to miracles and nightmares, who'd died trusting that her babies would be safe. She wrote about the math that never worked. About saving 6 exotic animals while a child named Amara fought for every breath. About right answers that felt wrong, and wrong answers that saved lives. On her desk, a photo of Hope looked back at her, those amber eyes, that knowing gaze. "I hope I did right by you," Diana whispered. Outside, the moon rose over Riverside Animal Shelter. In the barn at Bailey's farm, 9 impossible babies slept soundly, 3 puppies dreaming of homes, 6 exotics dreaming of whatever wild things dream. And somewhere in the space between science and spirit, a German shepherd named Hope finally rested. Her job finished, her babies safe, her choice honored. 2 months later, Diana received a package. No return address, just a small box marked, "Handle with care." Inside, a vial, clear liquid, a note in precise handwriting. Subject 17 cells. Preserved. Amara lived. This is what Hope gave us. Her DNA holds the key. But next time, we'll ask permission. We'll honor the life giving the gift. Thank you for teaching me to listen. E.C. Diana held the vial up to the light. Inside, genetic material from a German shepherd who'd endured everything, who'd carried impossible life, who'd been both victim and hero. She should destroy it, should pour it down the drain. But a child named Amara was alive because of it. Diana locked the vial in her safe, not to use, not to give back, just to hold, to remember, to honor the complicated truth that sometimes salvation grows from suffering. Sometimes progress requires sacrifice. Sometimes the right answer depends on which life you're trying to save. In the barn, the fox kid opened its eyes, yawned, curled back into sleep, warm, fed, safe, living the life Hope had died to give them. That had to mean something. It had to be enough. If this story touched something in you, hit that like button and share it with someone you want to hear with. Subscribe to our channel and ring that notification bell so you never miss another story.